Hey, everybody, Pastor Chris Harris here. Welcome to our Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council meeting. We are so glad to have all of you all here tonight. Would you please go to the chat right now? If you can go to the chat right now and make sure that you let us know who you are. Let us know the organization that you represent. I really appreciate all of you all being on with us tonight. Our co-chair, Vice Chair, the one and only Pastor Michael Neal, who is the pastor of Glorious Light Church, as well as the founder and CEO of the Timothy Center. Pastor Mike Neal, how you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, good evening, Pastor Chris and friends. How you all doing? Excited for another opportunity to hear some good information coming out of our community.
Man, we're glad to have you tonight. Pastor Neal, could you just talk a little bit about why this kind of work is important, why everybody is blowing up the chat, making sure they let us know who they are and the organization that they represent?
This is extremely important because we thank God that we get an opportunity to help represent this community, to make sure that what's done in the dark is brought to light. Things that are about us should include us. And so we don't want to sit idly by while people are making decisions that will affect us from decades to come. And so it's important that we all come together and hear our voices and make it plain that we want better. We won't settle for just anything that's thrown at us.
Man, I think it's pretty amazing. I'm super duper grateful. Let me ask you, man, what high school did you go to?
Lim Bloom, swoop, swoop.
Oh my God, he went to Lim Bloom. And
hey, Chief Mason. I see you.
Oh my goodness. This is what it's all about. And so you are also still, even now, involved. Please do me a favor. Everybody, go to the chat right now and blow up the chat with the school that you are affiliated with. Come on. I see you there. The Eagles, Jaguars. Come on, Lim Bloom. Come on, give me the names of the schools that you went to and you are a part of. Come on. Blow up these CPS schools. I want to see Kenwood Broncos. Another Lim Bloom is there. Come on, blow it up.
I'm so excited I misspelled it.
Yo, Lim Bloom is in the house. Morgan Park, ML King. Are they doing it fast now? Metro Mavericks, Schaumburg, Schaumburg, Whitney Young, Dunbar, Morgan Park Mustangs, Simeon, the Wolverines, Bronco Love, Mollison, Hubbard, John Marshall Commandos. Wow. McKinley, Lakeside Leadership Academy, Simeon, DuSable, Harlan, Bronzeville Classical. Come on. Anissa Allen is here representing Woodson and Dunbar. Woo, that's right. Lincoln Park Lions, Panthers, Inglewood Eagles, Mustangs. This is what I'm talking about. Sylvia, do me a favor, email me our agenda tonight. We're going to open it up. Carl, if you're on here, let us know that you're on here. I'm really excited about all of you all and what you are doing. Let me ask you a question. Please do me a favor in the chat tonight. Tell us reasons why community engagement is important. Why do you believe the community, like the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council, why do you believe it is important for individuals to be a part of this kind of stakeholder group? And I think it's amazing. Let me tell y'all something. It's Monday. People have left work for the day and they are literally, go to the chat and share, they are literally right now joining two different groups. I'm steady saying to all of the folks in this other one, go to the right one. Hold on, y'all give me a second. I want to make sure that everybody on the wrong one, come over to the right one. If you are on this one, please go to the other one. I'm putting it back in the chat for you. Make sure you come over to the right meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining. Come on over. We're waiting on you. So why is this important? Why is it important for us to be a part of this kind of thing? Vondale, I'm going to ask that you will unmute yourself, sir. And man, I want you to, first of all, tell people who you are, what you do, and why this kind of community engagement is important. Go for it, sir.
Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's having a happy Monday. Thank you, Pastor Harris, Pastor Neal. Appreciate you guys. My name is Vondale Singleton. I'm the founder and CEO of Champs Mentoring Program. I see a lot of familiar faces here. But to me, when we come together, I believe we can create collective energy and impact. So meetings like this is crucially important for us to stay informed as to what is going on in our communities.
And what's amazing about that is you mentor a bunch of young men. Could you tell us a little bit more about Champs? Because this collaborative is not just individuals with parents. No, this is organizations collaboratively coming together. Tell us a little bit about Champs.
Yeah, excited about Champs. Champs stands for culturally helping and making positive success. And we mentor young men all the way from 4th grade, all the way through high school and college. I work with about 400 young men across the city, 12 schools and 3 community-based sites. Started 10 years ago. I was the assistant principal at a school called Gary Comer College Prep, a noble network of charter schools. I started that program and it's going strong, super strong. So thank you all for your support. And we look forward to engaging with more schools and having more opportunities.
Man, can you believe it's 6:16? People are leaving work, transporting themselves from work, and many people, school leaders are on here, and already almost 100 people are at this. Y'all ought to be clapping it up, snapping it up. Come on. Don't y'all dare tell me that people don't care about school. Don't y'all dare tell me that people don't care about education. And as you continue to see the numbers, people are steady coming on. They're steady coming on. And we also tell all of our stakeholders, if they can't make it now, here's the good news. It's recorded. So people get to watch the meeting, participate in the meeting, get the information, give us their feedback all month long. We meet monthly. And I'm excited about it. One more person, just one more person. I'm going to ask the bishop. He is one of our Community Action Council executive committee members. Bishop, he's not really a bishop. We gave him a nickname, Bishop, because he liked to talk. He is Mr. James Patrick. Mr. James Patrick, could you introduce yourself? Tell folks what you used to do and why this work is important.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm a retired principal from South Shore High School. I was at South Shore High School many years. In fact, Arthur Robertson and the South Shore drill team, I allowed them to practice there, okay? And clearly it was Mr. Robertson and we talked about building the Comer School, building a school where I would have them in the daytime as principal and he would have them in the evening. That way, we really got them. So I want to congratulate Mr. Singleton of being a part of that wonderful, fantastic organization with Comer, the South Shore drill team, and the rest. And education is the key. And that was a tantamount about the South Shore drill team. If you never met Arthur Robertson, he wasn't not in it for himself. He was there to help and save students and educate students. And that's what we're doing here tonight and with the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. Thank you.
Well, I'm super excited about it. And you all, as y'all can see, I'm doing double duty. We got people that are joining the other chat, and I'm constantly telling them, come to the right one. If you're on this chat, look at the chat, right? If you're on this Zoom, you're on the wrong one. Look at the chat. Click that link and come on over to the right meeting. I can't thank you all enough. David Watkins is joining. I'm excited about it. I'm pretty pumped up. Now, we get ready to go into the work. Now, the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council. First of all, I hope all of you all will make sure that you go to our GBCAC website and get the update. Now, I hope all of y'all will go to the gbcac.com website. Can I get a few of y'all to put that in the chat? Go to the gbcac.com website and you can sign up and be a part of it so that you can get all of our information. I'm really excited about tonight's meeting. And I'll tell you why. I'm excited tonight because it's not last month's meeting. As you all know, we had a challenge last month. We had a real challenge, and the fact that we had a specific agenda. We had hoped to hear from CPS, but CPS decided that they were not going to speak at our meeting. They decided that they were not going to present at that meeting. And let me just tell you, we believe without a shadow of a doubt, whatever those reasons were, the GBCAC did not agree with it, right? But we do believe in being collaborative. We never take this work personal, right? It's all about principle for us. And as the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council chairman, I am proud to do everything that I can to fight for our Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council schools. Every school that is in the footprint, 67 South, 22nd North, Lakeshore Drive, and the Dan Ryan, that's what we call our schools. And on last month, when CPS decided that they were not going to present, we heard from all of you all stakeholders. And as a result of that particular meeting, we voted to say that we wanted a complete stop and halt to everything concerning the Near South High School. So you're in agenda item number 1, the chairman's updates. And so even though CPS did not come and present in any way anything that was on our agenda, we didn't stop talking to CPS because number one, CPS are not our enemies, right? They are our partners. I want to be abundantly clear. And if we as adults don't exhibit what we call conflict resolution as adults, we have no right to represent children. We have no right to represent students. As a matter of fact, students who are not good at conflict resolution may get the bad example from adults who are not good at conflict resolution. So we kept on talking and we kept on communicating. And I am super duper grateful. And yes, CPS did have a reason why. CPS said that they didn't want to present last month because they felt that there was political connection. I'm paraphrasing. There is a video on our GBCAC website.com website where you can go back and watch the entire meeting. They did read a letter because they assumed, they thought, they were under the impression, whichever bucket you want to put it in, that there was going to be a political forum at last month's meeting. And based on their ethics rules, based on what they said, that they could not and should not be a part of something like that. I made it abundantly clear before our meeting that we were not hosting a political forum. I made it abundantly clear before our meeting that their ethics committee had no thing that they had to worry about. I made it abundantly clear that we were not going down that kind of road, but they still decided that they did not want to show up. So I'm excited that we kept on talking. And after we kept on talking, here is what took place. We came to an agreement. The CEO of CPS called me. He intervened. Mayor Lori Lightfoot called me. She also intervened, and they both fully agree with us. Let me say it again. Fully agree with us that there should be no discussion about the new proposed Near South School, Near South High School, without a discussion about Dunbar, Phillips, and DuSable, and all Greater Bronzeville high schools when it comes to equity. We ought to be clapping it up and snapping it up, you all. Come on. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. It's not about who's right. It's about what is right. Y'all give me 2 seconds. Those of y'all that are on this particular Zoom, come to the right one. I'm putting it in the chat. All right, click that link. Come on over. Can't wait to see you. So listen to me good. I need you to understand I'm grateful to the CEO of CPS. I'm Pedro Martinez. I'm grateful to Mayor Lori Lightfoot. I'm super duper grateful for the other CPS leaders who have also reached out to say equity is the right thing. Again, you can go to our GBCAC.com website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can see last month's meeting. Every meeting will be videoed and every meeting will be made available for all of you all. And please know, CPS leaders are not our enemies. Everybody that you don't agree with and everybody that does not agree with you, it does not mean that you are enemies, but you got to keep on talking and work toward conflict resolution. So I'm grateful that tonight you will hear everything that you should have heard and could have heard last month So all is not lost. In addition to that, you will officially hear from CPS the direction that we're getting ready to head in together. And I'm super duper excited about that. So thank all of you all. Those of you all that are watching now, and those of you that are going to be watching in the future, I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing. And before we leave this meeting, I got some of the most amazing news for you. If I were you, I wouldn't log off. Stay on. I can't wait to share what's getting ready to happen to Bronzeville students. Good God, I don't even know how to explain how happy I am. All the principals that are on here today, I want y'all to do me a favor. Every principal, every school leader, every teacher in our greater Bronzeville schools, please identify yourselves. Every single one of you, I want to tell you thank you. I see it there. Principal Jiwa, tell us the name of your school in the chat. Y'all clap it up and snap it up for all of these school leaders. I'm so excited for every teacher. I mean, they've been educating all day and they own this meeting tonight. That is amazing. Persian Magnet, thank you so much. North Kenwood Oakland Charter School is in the house. Thank you. All of these principals, these educators, and these teachers. Thank you all so very much. I'm really, really excited. Now, let me move into our agenda. We have on today, Mr. Jeff Broom. Mr. Jeff Broom is going to be representing and presenting to us what used to be SQRP, right? A lot of times they would choose how schools will be addressed or how they're performing, all of that good stuff. I don't want to steal his thunder, but it's important that you hear this presentation that's getting ready to go forth. Mr. Jeff Broom, are you there?
Pastor Harris, how are you? I'm right here. Can you hear me okay?
Man, I am fantastic. I can hear you. How's your day been?
It's been great. Good to see you, sir.
You too, man. Listen, you've been waiting more than 30 days to present this.
I want to make it worth the wait for everybody else. I appreciate you.
There you go. You were here and you were ready on last month to present. And now we get a chance to have you to do that. So please take over and get ready to present. And those of y'all that have questions, we also have at the bottom a Q&A section where you can ask those questions. If you put it in the chat, you probably won't see that. But please get ready. Snap it up and clap it up for Mr. Jeff Broom.
Thank you, Pastor Harris. Can you give me a verbal confirmation that you can see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Well, shout out to Pastor Harris and the GBCAC Executive Committee. I gave this presentation to them a while ago, and they said this was worth the full group hearing. So I'm going to try to get through 2 years of work in about 15 minutes, so that we have a little bit of time for Q&A. But know that this is really just a presentation to set y'all up for a larger discussion that's happening over the next month or so and beyond. So as Pastor Harris said, this is about accountability redesign, which if you don't know, it's about what comes after SQRP. SQRP is the level 1, 2, 3 work that we did to rate schools in the past. That's done. We've heard from stakeholders that experience was more punitive than informative. You'll hear me say that again later. And so we've been working with stakeholders the last couple of years to come up with the something better. What's next? What replaces SQRP? So I've addressed this group a few times over the last couple of years. The headline here that I'm going to go through, if you don't take away anything else, is that we've translated recommendations into an actual policy. That policy is available for public comment, and we want your feedback on it prior to the board vote in April. April 26th is the next is the board meeting where this is going to get voted on. And so the draft policy is up for feedback, and I'm going to try to take about 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes to set you up for reviewing and giving us feedback that will impact the final version that the board votes on. So we've been working on this since 2019 to redesign our approach to accountability that we heard very strongly need to better align with equity, really focus on supports, and also learn from all the past experience from our accountability practices. To do this, we worked with we did what I call democratize the policymaking process. We had an advisory group that worked with us on this. Shout out to Bishop Patrick, who was one of the members who came to every meeting, and really, but it was not just Bishop Patrick. It was students and teachers and principals. CTU and Chicago Principal and Administrators Association were both in there. Their job was to take a lot of information, learn a lot, and give us recommendations as to what the new policy should look like. As much as we love Bishop Patrick and the other advisory group members, we didn't want this to be based just on their opinions. So we did a lot of stakeholder engagement work to inform their recommendations. We're up over 20,000 touch points at this point, where we really heard. We've got reports and we did focus groups. I'll do an overview. But in order to do that work well, we also convened a stakeholder engagement design team, or the SEDT. Again, very diverse, very representative group of folks, teachers, parents, principals, etc. And they really worked to tell us who we should talk to about this work, what questions we should ask, and how we should interpret the responses that we got. So again, all their work that they did is up on our website. I'm going to shout out Augusta Smith from my team. She's going to be posting links to everything throughout the presentation. So she'll put up a website where you can go see all the work that these two groups did over 2+ years. This is a real overview of that work. You'll see here we did multiple rounds of town halls, multiple focus groups. We did a citywide survey. Again, we had feedback from 20,000 folks over the course of this. So really what you're going to see here is rooted deeply in a lot of stakeholder engagement. The advisory group just came out a few weeks ago with their full report. If you want to understand how we got here, it's a lot. It's 30+ pages, but it's available. We've tried to be really radically transparent. Augusta will put that report in the chat as well. Some of the things that we heard throughout this process, some of the big themes that I hope you hear me say in the next few minutes, and also what you hear when you read the draft policy, is as follows. So we heard very strongly that we should embrace complexity. So the level 1, 2, 3 was meant to simplify a lot of stuff. But really what we heard is that you can't simplify the work that is school. You've got to embrace complexity. So no more level 1, 2, 3. We're going to take more of a dashboard approach to presenting information. We heard equity is really important. So our accountability work should reflect the district's equity framework. We spent 2 years working on that, so we should see it here. We want to avoid punitive accountability. So again, the ratings 1, 2, 3 were meant to be informative, but there's a lot of stigma attached to them. So the lived experiences of a lot of our stakeholders was that those ratings were more punitive than informative. And really, we want an approach that focuses on support. When we talk about support, we talk about reciprocal accountability. So this is not about letting schools off the hook. We know that the work of supporting our students happens at the school. That's the locus of control for improving student lives. We've got to have school level accountability. What this is about is acknowledging that schools are part of a larger system, and that the system, i.e. the district, also needs to be held accountable for the work that goes on. We heard very clearly that we need to value outcomes and experiences. So SQRP was just about student performance on a set of metrics. We need that data. We need to understand how students are performing. But what is equally important is what is happening in our schools. What are the conditions that students have access to? What are the supports and resources that students and school communities have access to? Those are equally important parts of our new definition of school quality and accountability. And then we heard a lot about coherence and accessibility. So accountability shouldn't be this thing that happens over here. It should really align with other strategic initiatives like the instructional core vision, curriculum equity initiative,
Right.
etc. So I'm going to take a few minutes to go through the framework, talk about how we translated that into an actual policy, and then I'll be here as long as Pastor Harris wants me. I know you got a lot on the agenda tonight, but I want to set you up to review the draft policy so that you can give feedback that really impacts the final product. So what we heard is that accountability should really start with those district commitments. When we get to school level accountability, that should focus on the conditions of a school and the extent to which schools are providing supportive learning environments to our students. And then only when we're talking about that, then we talk about student outcome metrics, because that tells us where that helps us identify where those other things aren't working as well as we'd like, which kicks off cycles of continuous improvement. So what we heard very strongly from the advisory group is that our new approach to accountability should be centered on the daily learning experiences of our student. That's the students. That's the foundation, the core of our new approach. And you'll see an apple there. That's reflective of the instructional core vision of the district, which you can look up online. Really, our schools meeting the standards on practice and experiences for our students. So that's the core of school quality, but we know that those things can't happen if we're not supporting adult capacity and continuous learning and inclusive and collaborative school and community. So you need to build up the capacity of the adults in the building and promote continuous learning so that they can provide students those daily learning experiences. You also need a lot of inclusivity and collaboration between both adults, students, community, everyone, to give students what they need to be successful. All of this is wrapped up in the idea of practice. You know, again, what are the adults doing, and the processes of continuous improvement. And then once we talk about that, only then do we talk about the evidence of student learning and well-being. So this is, you know, SQRP again used to be all student outcome data. We're going to continue to look at student outcome data because it's really important. As I said, you can't have conversations, for example, about equity, right? Unless you're able to compare performance between student groups. But here, it's only part of a larger, more holistic framework. All of this is wrapped up in the equity framework, as I said. So inclusive partnerships, targeted universalism. Again, I think August, I should be able, before the end of the chat, to put in the district's equity framework. You should see that echoed in the draft policy. And more concretely, the things we're talking about as being part of the picture here is, you know, when we talk about the continuous practice and continuous improvement, this is about resources and support. So budget, dollars in the budget, yes, but also things like supplies, personnel, staffing needs. Is the district supporting staffing in a school? It's great to have a teaching position that you need, but if central office isn't supporting it with a pipeline of quality professionals to fill that role, it doesn't do you any good, right? So that's an example of that reciprocal accountability. Things like support for like training and coaching, mentorship. These are the things that have to be in place to build that adult capacity so that the adults can support student daily learning experiences. When we talk about the conditions, we're talking about things that are really simple, like meeting structure, because the research shows that effective meetings actually lead to better outcomes for students, but also more esoteric things like climate and culture. How do the adults and students in the building feel? Because if you're not feeling supported, if you're not feeling welcome, then you're not going to be in a headspace to learn. So all of this is part of our definition of school quality and accountability. And again, all of this is complemented by outcome data that's both lagging and leading. We want to get more holistic about this. Big picture takeaway, what's ending? Again, no more summative ratings. The idea that we're going to use data to punish schools, that's gone. Things that are going to be common with SQRP, again, that's student outcomes. Like, you know, again, test scores aren't everything, but they do tell us important information. Attendance, grad rate, these are all things we want to continue to look at. We will also continue to share information with stakeholders. But what's new is, again, that focus on inputs, conditions, and resources that we've never measured and talked about before. We also codify the idea that we need to work on the accountability policy itself. So continuous improvement, is the policy doing what we wanted it to do? We're obligated to do a report to the board every 3 years to make sure the policy is doing what we want it to do. And again, that district accountability, that the idea that it's not all on schools, that's also a new change in our a new approach to accountability. So last section here, again, setting you up for reviewing the policy. I want you to have a sense of what you're looking for as you read the policy. It's 18 plus pages. It's a lot, but if you're willing, we'd love you to take a look and give us some feedback on what needs to change before the board votes on it in April. So again, you're going to see a component about daily learning experiences. You're going to see indicators on the idea that we need to measure and report on each of these indicators. So high quality curriculum, rigorous instruction, conditions for learning and student experience, balanced assessment system, access to post-secondary opportunities, MTSS framework, specially designed instruction. As you go through the policy, you're going to see a definition for each of these. You're going to see a standard, so rough guidelines as to how we're going to measure this going forward, and a theory of action. We articulate in the policy why we think it's important to measure each of these. You'll see some examples of draft metrics. All of that needs to get worked out in implementation, but the idea that we're going to talk about what we need to measure and why in the policy, that should be really clear. The next component you'll see is about adult capacity and continuous learning. Again, pulling straight from what the advisory group told us should be in here. You'll see indicators around leadership context, school vision and continuous improvement practice, distributed leadership and teacher leader development, and teacher and staff capacity. Again, definition, theory of action for each of these. The third component you'll see is about that inclusive and collaborative school and community. So all of these are defined, healing centered culture, etc., inclusive and collaborative structures, out of school time, something we heard a lot about from stakeholders as an important aspect of school quality, school and community partnerships and engagement. And then the last section again is that outcome data. You'll see a description of all this. Evidence of student learning and well-being is what we call it now. And you'll see those centered around academic progress, connectedness and well-being, and post-secondary success. So the last thing you'll see, and this is the one that's probably the newest, is about district commitments, district accountability. You'll see it's aligned with the blueprint. If you've had a chance to look at the blueprint, Augusta can put a link in the chat, hopefully before the end. You'll see it tied to what is the district committing to around supporting rigorous instruction, talented and empowered educators, safety, wellness, and supportive learning in communities, high quality services, and equitable resources. So you'll see a language in there around class size, funding equity, things like that. So I'm going to linger for about 2 more minutes because I want to talk about how you can engage. So the process is the draft policy is up until April 3rd. We're giving a full month for public comment. I know very little about the future. I can guarantee this, that the draft that the board votes on April 26th will not be the version that is up there now, because we are going to change it in response to what we hear from you and your peers. In order to do that, we'd love for you to take the survey. August is going to put this link in the chat, so it'll stay there even as I move on. But if you're able to scan it real quick, we'd love to hear your feedback. We also, as we shift from voting on the policy to really hammering out what this looks like, we're going to continue engagement over the next year plus with focus groups, maybe more surveys. If you want to be kept posted of all this work, please register. Again, Augusta will put this link in the chat too. Please register for updates on this work going forward, because we need your feedback to make it work for you. If we don't get to your question today, we run out of time, or you think of something later, please email my team at schoolmeasurement@cps.edu. We have a commitment to responding to all the questions in there. We will figure out how to get a response to you if you send us a note. The last link we'll put is a link to the policy itself. So again, it's up there, it's posted. We want to hear what you think. If you give us feedback in the survey, if you give us feedback on the board site, we're taking it all, we're synthesizing it all, and we're going to rewrite the policy in response. So I know we're running a little bit late. That was very quick. I tried to summarize 2+ years of work at lightning speed. Hopefully it was made somewhat sense. But you don't have to take my word for it. Everything is posted. You can review it all. You can go in detail on all the work that we've done. I think the takeaway is, if you are remotely interested in this, we'd love to hear your opinion on how we did before the board votes April 26th. So I appreciate the time.
No, thank you so very much. So if you can unshare, let me say the first thing, Jeff, you did a fantastic job. If you can stay on, you don't have to mute. Can we snap it up and clap it up for Jeff, everybody? Let me just say this. The first thing is, as Jeff unshares, uh, Jeff, you did a great job. 2 years of work in 15 minutes. Listen, you beating preachers out. Come on, man. It's hard to do that.
I'll take it. I'll take
There you
it.
go. So let me just say a couple things. And if you have a question, if you can put it in the Q&A section. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and do it in the chat. We'll try our best to get there. Please, let me just acknowledge something. On a Monday, after the weekend and a long work day, we got 123 people that are on here, now 125. Y'all are to snap it up and clap it up for community participation. People are still coming from work. Look at that. As I said that, now it's 127. People are still coming on. This is what I'm talking about. Don't you dare say people don't care about our schools. Now, Jeff, back in the day, is it not true that SQRP would kind of help CPS leadership to make decisions on school actions?
That's right. It was the performance policy before that and SQRP. But yeah, those level ratings, that's what drove eligibility for actions like principal removal, turnaround, closure, etc.
Now, I want to make sure all of our stakeholders understand this, because if you miss this presentation and don't understand it, then if CPS decided to do a school action, close a school, whatever the case may be, merge a school, if you miss all of this information, you really don't understand the why. And that's why we got to be a part of this, because Bronzeville, let me be clear, Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council, when they closed the schools, our community was impacted most, right? And what I'm excited about is the fact that they have updated this whole process. That's number one. However, Jeff, what you did acknowledge, you said this information, this data will not, or this, you didn't call it ratings, but it will not be used to punish schools. That's what you said, right?
Yes, and I will say, can I just add, because this is
Yeah.
something that I've heard the CEO say to board members, which makes it like that this is a thing that is real. So it's not just some guy named Jeff saying this, that the new approach is really focused on approach or support. That
Okay.
is, it's about meeting stakeholder needs and driving continuous improvement and figuring out where the support needs to go to give students what they need and school communities what they need. That's what this approach is about.
Okay, great. Now, let me ask a challenging question here. Two of them. Number one, and if you all have a question, please put it in the chat. I don't see any yet. Number one, will this information, even though not punish schools, will it drive decisions and actions from the district leadership?
So if we're talking about actions, are we talking about like, so just that's a specific legal term. When
Yeah,
you say actions, you mean the things that have caused, and we've used this term for 2 years, so I'm comfortable saying it now.
yeah,
The kinds of things that have driven collective trauma in our communities, right? Like closings, removal. Okay, great. Just want to make sure.
yeah.
So let me dive into this for about 60 seconds, just to give the context here. And
Okay.
you will see, again, you will see this in the draft policy. So state law requires us to continue to give every school an accountability status. So that good standing, remediation, probation, that is what state law, it only applies to CPS. Those are the accountability statuses that make schools eligible for the kinds of actions you're talking about. Okay, that's all under state law. In parallel, and that's been a requirement of CPS since 1995. So that hasn't changed. In parallel, since 2018, the state has rated every schools with its system. And that's under the federal law, Every Student Succeeds Act, that was passed by President Obama. Okay. So the state gives a summative designation to every school in the state. We are required to give an accountability status to every school in the district. Okay. So what we're doing is we're trying to separate these things. And so you will see one page of 18 pages that describes how we are going to take those summative designations from the state, which are exemplary, commendable, targeted, and comprehensive. We're going to take that information, we're going to translate it into good standing, remediation, probation. So if you are exemplary or commendable, you're in good standing. If you're targeted, you're remediation. If you are comprehensive, you're on probation. Again, these are the state's terms. Those things are what make you eligible for the actions that you're talking about. You will see language. You will see one page. And again, that's because we have to do it. We have to give those accountability statuses. The other 17 pages are about everything I just talked about tonight, which is what is the information we need to meet stakeholder needs and drive continuous improvement. That's the focus. So the idea is when you read the policy, you should feel the things that I'm saying tonight. And if you don't, then you need to tell us what is the language in there that's making you feel differently, what's not clear, what needs to be stronger. And that's the feedback that we will take to revise the policy prior to the board vote. I hope that was clear. A lot going on in that policy. But that's the context, Pastor Harris, between your question and everything else I've talked about tonight.
Right, and I appreciate that. And let me just say, Jeff, we're friends. So I could just say this to a lot of people that maybe sound like a word salad, right? It's a whole lot of words, right? And at the end of the day, sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that based on, right, how they will use this process, it will potentially guide decisions from the decision makers.
So so there's state actions, any state defined actions, we will be using state data to do that. Okay. And now, and you know, there's still the moratorium. There's no one's talking about turnarounds. But you don't have to take my word for it. I would put, you know, next time you have Bogdana or Pedro on, ask them the same, because the answer means different from them than it does from me. I want to acknowledge that.
Yep.
The information, when there are other decisions that need to be made, though, decisions around resourcing and staffing and other kinds of support to school communities. Those are the decisions that we want all this other information to drive. So you'll see on this, again, the other 17 pages, everything I've talked about tonight, when we talk about what do we need around equitable resourcing, effective staffing, effective practices, high quality curriculum, things like that. That's what we're talking about is the focus of our new approach. The other actions, yes, again, we have to keep that open because the state requires it, defines it. We're going to use state data for that. Everything else, the emphasis is on support and is the focus of what I talked about tonight. I hope that's responsive. I hope that makes sense.
I appreciate you. On behalf of Catherine Jones of Douglas LSC Community Rep, have LSC members received this survey?
We've posted it ad nauseum. I'm trying to think. This is a question for Carl Herdlick. I don't know that we've gone in front of the LSCAB, and I don't know that we've done an email blast to LSCs. I think we have, but I'm happy to do it more than once over the course of the next month.
Okay, please do. We would like that for every one of our greater Bronzeville schools, because some of our constituents are saying no. Rose, my board, as we know, representation is important. Is this framework inclusive of changing the CPS board composition, elections taking place next year, and to having parent representation, meaning allowing parents to run for school board election?
So it's a good question. So this is about the information that the current board is going to obligate the district to provide to stakeholders. This is not this policy that's going to get voted on in April doesn't have anything to do with defining the board elections that are going to start in a couple of years. So I think the answer is no. This is not connected to that. I will say, though, that the new elected board will have the authority to revise and change this policy as they see fit once they take the seat. So to me, that's the connection between what we're talking about and your question. I hope I understood it, and I hope that was an okay response.
Got it. And the last thing that I'll say, and thank you so much. Listen, let me just say to everybody, thanks for being on tonight. You do not want to miss the rest of this meeting. Stay on as long as you can. You know, we schedule this from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We made it convenient for you to be able to attend by going virtual. However, let me just say this. My hope is to give you as much time back as I possibly can. And so stay on. I promise you, you want to hear the rest of the meeting. And I got a big announcement later on today. You do not want to miss that. Jeff, by way of last question for you. And it could be a question or a comment. You could take either way. And take it back to CPS leadership, of which we have a lot of them on tonight. Thank you all so very much for being here from the district. I think it is important. I think it is important that we number one, define support, right? Because if you're not resourcing the school, that's not support, right? Showing up to find out what's wrong is not support. Addressing the issue and resourcing it is what support really is. And so I just want to say, you know, it's easy for people to come to, you know, you've heard me say this before. Everybody talked about under-enrolled schools and everybody talked about underperforming schools, but nobody talked about under-resourced schools, right? So if you're going to judge the school based on performance or whatever the case may be, how will we be able to hold the district accountable on what you have or have not resourced equitably?
So great comment. I will respond to things. One, Carl in the chat made the commitment to resend this to LSCs or send it for the first time. So thank you for the flag on that. And Pastor Harris, exactly what you just described is 100% in keeping with the recommendations of the advisory group and the intended spirit of the policy as it is written. That being said, when you read it and when you get to that section on district expectations and district commitments, if you don't hear and feel what Pastor Harris just said, then tell us what needs to be strengthened or changed or revised so that that is clear before the board passes it in April. Because as Pastor Harris actually did a really good job of articulating what we're trying to get across with that policy. But if we haven't achieved that yet, tell us how to make it better. So I think that's a great note to end on, Pastor Harris.
Thank you so very much, my friend. And I really appreciate you coming. Let me just say one more question. Just let's take this one from Mary Long. Are these policies for the complete CPS district? Or is this not policy, but is this tool, right, for the whole district?
Yeah, I think that means are all schools included? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and so the answer is yes. I will say that's going to look a little bit different in different contexts. So high school versus elementary, charter versus non-charter. You'll see some language about there in charter particular. Like we've got to figure out, there's a lot of work to do left to implement this, but the intention is that the spirit of this, the support versus punitive, information versus punishment, like these are the things that apply to all of our schools. So I could talk for an hour about it, which I'm not going to do, but the short answer is yes. This framework applies as appropriate to all of our schools, and I appreciate the question.
Do me a favor, y'all snap it up and clap it up for Jeff Broom. Thank you so much, Jeff. Really appreciate, man, your presentation. Clearly, you can see that we have amazing stakeholders here that are serious about the work that we are doing, and I'm super duper grateful for every single one of them. So thank you very much again for a great presentation. Now, let's be abundantly clear. We will share with the board what our perspective is. And when they say, hey, we want to make a decision, because in Bronzeville, let's be honest, Greater Bronzeville, and we got other great CACs that are across this city that are doing, and stakeholder groups that do the same exact kind of work. We know some decisions are going to have to be made. But what we say to the CPS is nothing about us without us. Do not make decisions for us. Make decisions with us. And that's what collaborative partnership is really all about. One more time, clap it up and snap it up. Jeff Broom, great job, sir. Thank you. Feel free to stay on as long as you like. We're glad to be partners with you. And I'm also grateful for the other CACs that are here. If you are a part of another CAC and you came to our meeting tonight, shout out to you. Please put your name in the chat and the CAC that you represent. I'm moving us forward on our agenda, and people, as you all can see, are still joining on our meeting. This is the greatest CAC. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful for all of you all. We're getting ready to move forward. Now, as you all know, we were raising our voices. I almost said hell. We were raising our voices about Dunbar, DuSable, as well as Phillips and every other school that we have in our greater Bronzeville area. And right after this next subject, a pretty sensitive one, we're going to go to that about the Near South High School. But wait a minute. I want to give a shout out to Zanette Sanders, one of the chairs of the Hyde Park Kenwood Community Action Council. Y'all snapping up and clapping up for them. Denise Dyer, my girl, my sister from another mister, who's on tonight from the Inglewood CAC. Thank you. Come on. CMB, baby. We got each other's back, and the CACs really are supporting one another, and I'm super grateful. Urban prep. We got an issue about urban prep, and I want to raise that, and I want to bring one of the representatives from the CPS Office of Innovation and Incubation. Who's presenting tonight? I just want to be sure Kendra was on with us. Carl?
There are two of us. I'm Rochelle. Hey, everyone. I'm
Hey,
the director.
Rochelle. And who else
I'm
is
the
with you tonight?
director of performance and accountability with I&I, and we also have Sam Matthias. He's our director of school development. So both of us are going to be on with you guys shortly.
Good
Thank
evening,
you so
Pastor
very
Harris.
much.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Sam. Good to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, Rochelle. Good to see you. Thank you both. First of all, tell us about your office and just tell us about Urban Prep, clearly one of our schools, where it's located, and then I'll raise up a few questions. But we've been super proud of everything that has happened with Urban Prep. Our executive committee, who is the leadership committee of this organization, we're going to raise a few questions, and we met and talked about this the other day. But please tell us about yourselves, the role you play, the office, and then Urban Prep. Take it away.
All right, cool. So we do have a deck to present, but before we get started with that, also on the line from our team is Kendra Turner. She's on. We have Sabrina Evans, our executive director. She's also on. And then we have Eleazar Garcia Solis from our team as well. So we are all here from I&I. Hey, Kendra, sorry, I know you came off mute to say hello to Pastor Harris, but she is on today.
Hey, Kendra, thank you so very much. Listen, she did a good job the other day. I almost bought her some Lou Malnati's pizza. Go ahead, y'all.
Oh, wow. What an honor. Thank you. Good to see you again, Pastor Harris.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as we're pulling up the deck, just a little bit about I&I. We are the Office of Innovation and Incubation. We are the office that manages all of the charter and contract schools that are authorized by the district. And so with that, we provide school support, but we also do some authorization practices such as renewing schools, and that is what we are here today to talk through, that renewal outcome for the Urban Prep Academy schools, both of those campuses, as well as next steps around what the district has committed to do moving forward. So first, let's go through our agenda. Have a very short agenda. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in that Q&A, and we'll stop at the end to go through any questions or concerns that you all have. But here's our agenda today. We'll go through a little bit of background, what's happened so far when it comes to the non-renewal, as well as the appeal that Urban Prep submitted to the Illinois State Board of Education. We'll then talk through a little bit about the new program, the new school model that the district has committed to opening up, our student transition options, opportunities that we are creating for community input, as well as next steps. So let's go ahead and get started. For these first couple slides, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Sam.
Thank you, Rochelle, and thanks, everybody. Hello again. Sam Matthias, Director of School Development in the Office of Innovation and Incubation, which Rochelle just described. So just really quick background on what's been going on with Urban Prep Bronzeville and its other campus, Urban Prep Englewood, in the Englewood community. In October of last year, the Chicago Board of Education voted to non-renew these 2 Urban Prep campuses, not really related to anything at the school level that was going on, but related to issues at the board and executive level at Urban Prep related to financial mismanagement, related to Title IX issues, related to governance mismanagement, and other things. And it wasn't the preferred reason, wasn't really the preferred path of the Board of Education at that time, but through a protracted back and forth and several years of mismanagement, it was ultimately the decision that came down. With that decision to non-renew, our Board of Education and our CEO committed to operating district-run schools and programs specifically designed for Black male students in the Bronzeville and Englewood communities, in the buildings that the current Urban Prep Bronzeville and Urban Prep Englewood campuses are located. These are schools that are planning to be focused on high-quality education for Black male students, strong post-secondary programs, and strong programs for success. I wanted to talk a little bit about where we are in that process, because October was a long time ago. In November of last year, Urban Prep appealed the board's decision, and that has been going through the process with the State Board of Education. In November, they appealed. In January, we had a hearing, and this past Friday, on March 10th, Illinois State Board of Education released its proposed orders and recommendations to be voted on by the State Board of Education, which uphold the district's positions that Urban Prep violated a lot of charter law and that it was not in the best interest of students for the schools to continue on. That was going to be voted on this Wednesday, March 15th. As of today, ISB determined that it would move that vote to April 19th, which is a month from next Wednesday, pretty much this Wednesday. The recommendations are still what they were. We can share those with folks. Those are publicly posted on the Illinois State Board of Education website, but that's where we are right now. So there is a little bit of delay on the vote through April 19th. And that is really the situation with where we are with the appeal. Even with this delay, the district is moving forward to incubate these 2 district-run programs in these buildings. And I'll let Rochelle get into that a little bit more.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. So yes, as Sam stated, the district has committed to continuing these schools at their current locations. And so with these programs, we want to maintain a model that centers cultural identity and social emotional supports in learning. As shared, both of the campuses will remain at their current location for the 2023-2024 school year. Both of those schools existed in CPS facilities, and so we will just continue those programs. Students can continue to attend the same location that they have been attending even prior to this non-renewal situation. With this, as we are trying to maintain stability for students, as well as model the program as much as we can, we do value what was going on at the school level. And so with that, we're working to retain as many school-based teachers and staff as possible. Now, there is one caveat, and we're working with talent to find some alternative pathways through this. But as you all likely know, CPS schools, district-run schools, require that all teachers are certified. Charter schools are not in that situation. They do have a bit of wiggle room when it comes to teacher licensure. There are some requirements around teacher licensure. Charter law states that 75% of teachers have to be licensed. Unfortunately, Urban Prep was not meeting that requirement. And so we are trying to retain as many of those teachers as we can. For those that are not certified, we're working with talent to determine where these individuals are, working with ISB to find some expedited pathways to licensure, or placing them in some programs within CPS that can help them along the way. We want to make sure that we support these school-based staff as much as we can. We want to partner with our impacted stakeholders to co-create the future of programming at the new school. I'll talk about this more at the end, but this includes the creation of a steering committee made of community members, parents, and families to help us, again, co-create that programming. With that, we want to create structures to ensure that the school community has a voice and decision-making power moving forward. The district doesn't just want to present a model or present the plan to say, hey, community, this is what's happening. We want to make sure that your voice is heard, especially students and families that are attending these schools currently. And so again, we'll be creating some structures to ensure that the school community has some decision-making power with that. A little bit about the model that we are working to build at the CPS managed schools. So there are a number of elements that are valuable to families and students that we want to provide. We want to make sure that the school has a college prep curriculum, as well as resources and programmatic pathways for students to not only receive support for a traditional college-bound post-secondary pathway, but also implement some CTE programming, some additional alternative pathways, such as getting some apprenticeships, linkage to some trades, different things of that nature. So we want to make sure that we have a college prep curriculum that supports students not just going to college, but whatever pathway that they choose, and make sure that they are exposed to those various opportunities. We want the school to have core values and a creed to capture shared beliefs across the community and ground all the programming in that. We want to have cohorts of students across grade bands to provide some community-based support and student support as they matriculate through the program. We want to have some daily cohort sessions that drive SEL and teamwork activities. Friendly competitions between these cohorts of students to celebrate student progress. SEL and academic support through a team of counselors at the school. A uniform that stands out from the rest. Convocations and ceremonies to celebrate achievements. As I shared before, strong and varied post-secondary programming to expose students to a ton of different post-secondary pathways outside of just traditional college, and then maintaining the sports and clubs that currently exist at the school, making sure that we create additional opportunities for students. So just a bit about the day in the life of a student. So on a typical day, a student can expect to be engaged in a daily positive student-based town hall session to ground the work and start the school day off on a positive note between students and their peers. Students can expect to be engaged, again, with their cohort of peers. These are cohorts of peers across grade bands. Like I shared before, student cohort-based bonding activities and different team competitions to, kind of have friendly competitions with regard to assessment scores or attendance rate or which cohort has the best GPA. So just really great opportunities for that. We want to have a school environment that promotes pride and identity, and again, maintain the sports and clubs that currently exist, as well as explore opportunities for new ones too. We are nearing the end. Thank you so much for that time check, Pastor Harris. So we're having some one-on-one transition support with families. Our goal is to retain as many of the students as we can in these new district-run programs, but we know that families might be looking for another option. And so we have some structures set up to provide one-on-one transition support to families. This is a slide that we are showing to families at our March 20th town hall. And so with that, we really want to make sure that all families request student transcripts. We're working with Teaching and Learning, OSCAPA, and the policy team within CPS to really form a network to standardize the way that student transcripts are being transcribed as students transition into either the CPS school or whatever their next school is. And then to continue to provide support to our diverse learners and English learners that are enrolled at the school. This next slide just shows a couple of our next steps. So we have ongoing office hours with parents and families. We have these virtually every Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. Starting this spring, we want to have some in-person office hours with folks both at the Team Inglewood building as well as Doolittle Elementary, which is the elementary school next door to the Urban Prep Bronzeville campus. More to come on that, but we want to start those in the spring to make sure at least once or twice a week there's someone there physically in person for families to talk to if they have questions about anything, questions about the process, want to talk through some transition support, anything families need. We want to make sure that we are there for them, not only virtually, but in person. We have some upcoming town hall meetings. That next one is Monday, the 20th at Doolittle Elementary School. Again, that's the school that's right next door to the Urban Prep Bronzeville campus. We have some other meetings slated on 4/17 as well as 5/15, TBD on the location. All meetings are going to run from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and we'll have virtual options available. As I stated before, we are creating a community advisory council. So we're going to announce this at the next town hall to solicit as many students, families, and community members to co-create the programming and activities available at the new school. And then just in terms of general family engagement, we have a weekly transition updates newsletter that's shared to all parents via email, as well as provide daily support to anyone who contacts I&I. Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us this time. If you guys have any questions, we can go ahead and take some of those now.
You got it. So I'm going to do it this way. A couple of things. Let me just give a really, really high level and thank you all. A couple of the questions. Let me grab some synopsis. And of course, people are texting me even as we are here. Urban Prep has a culture. Urban Prep has a creed. Urban Prep has a model. Tim King did a great job. Now, we know that there is an investigation going on and a bunch of different things that are happening that are rather sensitive. And so I would love for us to be able to have a sit-down conversation that is specifically about urban prep. But listen, I don't think students should get caught up in grown folks' issues, but that's typically what happens. And so this has to be a much more robust conversation. I do want to say to the CAC, that I have been involved in some of the conversations around this. And I do know, and I would say this, and y'all know, I don't disagree just to be disagreeable, right? But I will also say that I'm perfectly okay with holding CPS and all of us accountable, right? To make sure kids, students get the best access to a world-class education. That said, I can say CPS definitely tried. CPS tried. Right, to have real conversation with urban prep, and so many different interests were thrown on the table, which makes coming to a resolve and an agreement very, very difficult. And so I want to give kudos to CPS for trying. Let me say it again. I want to give kudos to CPS for trying. Now, I'm also glad that these two campuses are not closing, Now, I also want to encourage everybody to make sure that you attend the March 20th Urban Prep Town Hall. That will give you an opportunity to hear a lot more about what's going on in Urban Prep. I will raise one thing in particular, because this is not the town hall for the Urban Prep issue. I did ask you all to bring this to us, and you wanted to bring this to us because you know that these constituents do partner in all of these schools. Now, what the EC did raise, and Sam, Kendra, she know we raised it, Rochelle, whoever wants to answer this, we would like for you all to make sure that as you focus, because the Bronzeville campus is in one of the high schools in our footprint, we would like for you all to consider, since CPS is taking it over, we would like for you all to consider making sure that Urban Prep become one of the Network 17 schools under the leadership of our network chief, Chief Hester. We did have some brief conversation with him. It's not his decision, but we did say if we're going to be asking this, we wanted him to know that we were going to be asking this on his behalf. He is a Black man, right, who is running all of these schools in Network 17, who we trust. He is a Black educator who we trust. He is a partner. He is a man, right? These are boys. I'm not saying that women could not lead, but we are comfortable with the guy who is already in place. Is this a possibility? If so, how do we If it is a possibility, how do we continue that conversation? And for the benefit of everybody else, the network chief is the one who is the leader of the principals of the various schools. Chief Hester, go right ahead. Who will take that question?
That's definitely something that we are exploring with the Office of Network Support. So we did hear your request loud and clear. We've escalated that up, and so more to come on the actual network in which the school will sit. But we've definitely communicated this request to senior leadership.
Thank you so very much, and we look forward to hearing back from you all. We think it is vitally important. Chief Hester, I don't know if he's on tonight. Carl, please let me know. Or Chief, go to the chat and let me know that you are on. And let me know if Chief Mason is on. I'm ready for her to talk in a moment. We're ready to hear from both of them if he is available. I know I saw Chief Eileen Mason on to give us a state of the schools that she's over. She's over all of she's the network chief for our elementary schools. And then Chief Hester is over the network chief of our high schools. So we will stand in solidarity with your office to make sure that this school is solid. There may be some very, very specific questions in regards to urban prep. I do want to give you all the opportunity to have your town hall and not make this the town hall. So I would ask everybody who has any questions around urban prep, please just give us one more commercial, Rochelle, about when the town hall is, where it's going to be, how people can sign up. It's in the chat, but I want to make sure that they get a fair shake.
Yep, awesome. So we are having the town hall March 20th, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Doolittle Elementary School. Again, that is right next door to the Urban Prep Bronzeville campus, 35th and King, right across from LA Fitness. I know you all everybody in Bronzeville goes to that gym, so you should know where that's at. But yeah, we're having that. We're also having a smaller roundtable discussion this Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, Carl. CAC members are welcome to attend both. If you do want to attend that smaller roundtable discussion, please email Carl. Again, as that is a smaller setting, but the town hall on March 20th is a large event. It's going to be in the auditorium at the school, so we can fit all of you. Please show.
Y'all do me a favor. Y'all snap it up and clap it up for this presentation. Sam, Rochelle, Kendra, and the rest of the team. Thank you guys so very much. From you all, the high school, the high school update. Thank you from the CPS Office of Innovation and Incubation. We truly appreciate you all. Stay on as long as you can. Y'all know we get ready to go to the hot topic. I'm excited about it. And I want to listen, there are right now, after a full day of work, full day of teaching, y'all snap it up, 135 constituents are still on this meeting. This is what I'm talking about. Don't y'all say that Bronzeville and Greater Bronzeville don't care about our schools. Chief Mason, I know we want to hear from Kareem. That's the big deal tonight. But Chief Mason, you are always on, and you are always present, and you are always pushed to the last. Not tonight, not in Women's History Month. Ain't gonna happen. Will y'all do me a favor? Let me take a pause for the cause. All the women, all the ladies, y'all go crazy. Let's celebrate all these women. Come on, Women's History Month. Last week was International Women's Day. All the ladies, please, just do me a favor. Y'all clap for yourselves in the chat so we can see all of these ladies. I'm proud of y'all. And if you're part of any sorority, represent right now. You're part of any women's group. Put the name of the women's group in the chat. Come on. I want y'all to blow it up. I'm excited about all these amazing ladies that are here. But I want to bring somebody who I'm a huge fan of, Chief Eileen Mason, who heads up all of our elementary schools. Chief Mason, how you doing tonight?
Great day, everyone. Happy to see everyone, definitely. And happy Women's Appreciation Month for all of the women out there. Shout out. I am so happy to be here. Real quick updates. And I can also say for Chief Hester, because we've been doing some of the same work. We're just trying to make that through line from high school all the way, well, elementary school all the way to high school. We are in the process of finishing up our MOY instructional walks in our schools to kind of get a status and post check of what's happening in our buildings. And I know I can definitely say for my elementary school network, Network 9, we have all but one completed one of our MOYs walks, and we are growing. We see the progress, working with our fearless leaders. Shout out to Network 9 Principal Nicole. I know Dr. Giwa, I saw her out there. We have been working really, really hard, and we're seeing it take traction, and the leaders are definitely fearlessly leading, making sure that we are making growth in our schools. So that's one thing when having conversations with them. Also, we're looking in terms of planning for summer programming. We had a collaborative session with our network principals about opportunities we want to offer to students for the summer. So that work is already beginning. So we did that. And then we're right now in the thick of testing. So our schools are taking the IAR test. So we're in the progress of testing. So right after that, budget season comes, and we're right well on our way, but we're keeping that through line, trying to make sure that everybody's growing, and all of our leaders, as well as our students and our staff, are going to get to that finish line and beyond.
I got to tell you, I think it's pretty amazing. Chief Mason, let me just ask you a question for a moment. Could you just talk to us a little bit about the state of the schools, some of the, the issues and the needs that are there, right? I don't think you all appreciate it enough for all the work you do, my goodness. But we get on, and a lot of times we talk about how great things are going. What are the opportunities, right? And you got a stakeholder group here that is serious about your schools that you lead, and we care. We want to be involved. Some of the things, I know I'll be talking about Turn Center tutoring. You can do that if you want, but I'm excited about what we're approaching. What are some of the needs?
So definitely the needs are, and it's excellent that you asked that question, because that's a lot of what we talked about in our last principals meeting last week around summer programming. We're noticing throughout the year, and the data is showing around SEL supports, mentorship, different programs, enrichment programs. So we're thinking about how schools want to design different opportunities for students, even through the summer, to really bridge some gaps, some SEL gaps, as well as academic. Early literacy is always a topic for us, early literacy, and really making sure students have those skills in order to be successful as they enter pre-K even. So a number of our schools are creating programs like Step Up to first grade, Step Up to second grade, Step Up to middle school even. So really trying to design programs based on the needs of schools. So they are looking for who could they partner with to provide some of these opportunities that they want to create. And one of our goals as a network, the strategy that we've taken on is, let's talk about what these programs look like now, so we can advertise to families to get them on board to have students enroll in earlier versus later. So we won't just get to summer and no one's participating, but we have some marketing on the front end. So they are looking for schools to provide some mentorship, even down to some extracurricular type of things. We just want to really have an inclusive approach. We have some academics, but as well as some of those other social emotional pieces for students.
No, I really appreciate that. And we have some educators that are on here, some of our teachers, some of our principals. If you can also add some of the things that you see in your schools or in all schools that are needed, would you put it in the chat? This is a safe space. And let me be abundantly clear. If we have a lot of pride and ego, right, too much to the point where we don't ask for what we need, then how can we as a community advocate on your behalf? And it's not that the schools, right, are underperforming being the biggest issue. Them being under-resourced is a real issue. And we got to be raising this up to whoever wants to be mayor, whoever wants to be the CEO of the schools, and we got to raise our voices. You know, there's this book that I like, I read it every now and then, and it says something that I really believe. It says, you have not because you ask not, right? And we're going to ask. We're going to ask for every single thing that every single school in our community needs. And we need to make sure that we share. We need to make sure, again, that we share. One more time, we need to make sure, again, that we share. And so thank you for your leadership, Chief Mason. We are coming to support. Thank you for your letter of support. for turn center tutoring. We said that we want to make sure that we bring the kind of programming for tutoring into these schools. Now, I got one more question for you. The data went out, some news reports, Chief Mason, that many of our schools, and this is important, 55 schools in particular, they said the struggling with their reading and math. And then across the nation, it said that due to COVID, students are 2 to 3 years behind. But the reality is, before COVID, many of our students were 2 to 3 years at a minimum behind. So add those up. Could you talk a little bit about what you know concerning that data and those reports that have gone forth?
So I definitely say that just in general, when we look at the lagging of student achievement, I agree with you. I think they were just exposed even more after COVID, but they were there. And so really looking at what type of interventions and what type of systems are in place for every child to grow. One of the things that we say in our, and not just say, but I have our leaders actually looking at is every child must grow. From the lowest score to the highest score, every child has to grow. And so how are we really tracking the progress of students and making sure that not just necessarily having so many programs, but are those programs tapping into student growth? Does it have a direct correlation? Are partnerships really helping schools move, helping students move, and giving the proper training and development that's needed so progress monitoring is done, not just you're throwing a lot of things at them, but are they working and how do you know? And so putting those intervention systems in place in schools is the number one priority. And that's the conversations that we have so we can continue to see growth to then begin to see some of those incremental gaps being closed because we're providing the right progress monitoring, the right literacy instruction, the right math instruction and resources to really get the results you want to see.
I'm really, really excited about that. And I want to tell you, thank you. And I'm so grateful. Tonight, I got good news for you, Chief Mason. And the only reason that Chief Hester is not here is he told us he's in school. Man, the man was trying to, he will be on our Zoom and trying to be in school. Bro, get off of here. We know you got our back and we have your back and he's in school. That's the only reason that he is not here. So I'm really excited to share with you on let me just say this also. Let me point this out. Let me tell you how amazing Chief Hester is. This is Chief Hester with all of the principals of Network 17. And he brought together all of his principals. And guess what he did? Invited all of the CACs connected to all of his schools. The Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council was there. Bright Star Community Outreach, his team was there. And he made a connection. He said, all principals, I want you to get connected to all of the CACs, all CACs. I want you to get connected to all of the principals. And we were present and we were so excited. He said, listen, what we do inside the building, we need support of those that are doing work outside the building. Come in, partner. And I'm asking everybody, would y'all clap it up and snap it up for Chief Hester, who covers all of our high schools, who did something that has not been done. One more time, it has not been done. Not in this way. And we were floored that he brought us, all of the CACs, in connection with all of the principals and said, y'all talk, even had some table conversations to say, hey, we know that you all in the community have resources and partnerships that we can benefit from. So please connect. So one more time, can y'all snap it up and clap it up for Chief Hester? I really appreciate his innovative leadership. And we encourage, listen, you see in the chat, many of these principals are saying, hey, we need resources and we want partnership. So I'm super duper grateful. But what is the good news? On April 1st, I will be 49 years old. And for my birthday, I've partnered with a company called Moolah Mogul. And guess what? Any school and any student that is Title I, I'm going to be passing out 4,900 tablets, the one that you see on the screen, free to every student in every Greater Bronzeville school. This is amazing. 4,900. Let me say it again. And guess what? Y'all ain't ready for this. free internet for 12 months. Y'all ain't clapping. Come on. Come on. Free internet. I'm excited because there is a technology gap. And I'm excited that for my birthday, PCH Ministries, in partnership with Bright Star Community Outreach, in partnership with Bright Star Church and St. James Church and the Greater Bronzeville CAC, we putting 4,900 free tablets. All they'll have to do is sign up. And Chief Mason, we're going to be coming to all of your principals. Same thing with Chief Hester, coming to all of your principals to say, if they are Title I, they get it free. All they got to do is sign up, and I'm excited about it. Here's what I know my job is. I create relationships that turn into resources for the residents within my reach. In other words, I don't mind being called Robin Hood in the hood doing good. I'm excited about it. So Chief Mason, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all you do. And I'm excited that we'll be able to bless all of your students.
Thank you so much. And I want you to know, I extend that invitation for elementary school principal for our principals meeting as well to the CACs.
Wonderful. Listen, I wanted you to say it for yourself. Chief Hester ain't here. You are one of our greatest partners. You always have been. And I want you to know that we appreciate you. It's been a long day for you. Bye. Thank you. God bless you. Y'all clap it up for our pastor or the bishop of all of the pastors that run the school. We are so grateful. Oh my God, this is exciting. As we get ready to land the plane, y'all been waiting on this one. It's still 130 of y'all that are still on. My man, 50 grand. Y'all clap it up, representing the Phase 2 department. Now, before we bring him on, and he's getting ready to share some good news, I'm excited to partner with him on this effort. I'm gonna ask y'all, the man who helps keep us together, the man who helps make sure that he is a great liaison between the Greater Bronzeville CAC and some of the others and CPS, will y'all please go crazy for our great one, Mr. Carl Herdlick? Y'all go crazy for him. Come on. Oh my goodness. Carl, are you on? Can you at least say hello to the folks? I know that he was on. He always, there he is. Carl, how you doing, man?
I'm great. And and thank you for the accolades. But again, it's all about working together. And I'm just so grateful to be with some volunteers that care as much as they do in partnering with the schools and ultimately bettering the education of our children. So it makes my work that much easier when you all are providing plans and, more importantly, resources like all the laptops that you just promised on your 49th birthday. So we really appreciate the collaboration.
Man, the pleasure is all mine, and I'm really, really excited about it. Man, how long have you been a part of Phase 2? And could you tell everybody what Phase 2 is? And then we're going to go over to Mr. Kareem.
So actually it's Phase now. We took away the 2.
Okay.
So it's family and community engagement. And a little known fact is, if you go back 12 years, which is the beginning of the CACs, as you well know, October of 2010, this staff from CPS that were working, you remember we had a full staff for the CACs at that point, and we were going out and we joked about being the face of CPS. We would go out, take our lumps, and that was fine. That's part of what community engagement is about. And then a person came a few years later, and she kind of took that hook, and then she said, "Oh, face of CPS, I like that," and so she used it, and then that was how the whole face department, fleshed out. And clearly, it's more than just the CACs, but the CACs is a very important part of face.
Well, thank you, our family and community engagement, for all the work you do. Could you all snap it up and clap it up for them? I'm so grateful. The one and only, my man, 50 grand, Mr. Kareem Pender. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Pastor. How's it going with you?
Man, I'm great, man. Listen, we've had some great conversations, and we got great news to share with everybody tonight. Our concern on last month, and since January, February, now March, we have been talking about this near South proposed high school, by way of reminding everybody, $150 million popped up available for them to be able to build a brand new school that would sit in Bronzeville, on territory that used to be the Harold Ickes Project, CHA land. And they decided that they were going to build a new school right there. And we said, nope, not before you focus on the schools that are currently operating, and some of which are almost like on hospice. Dunbar, DuSable, and Phillips. Phillips, there's been an investment in Phillips, right? But that was more so athletics. What we're talking about is academics, right? What we're talking about are facilities. What we're talking about are making sure that teachers and curriculum and things like that in our footprint. And that doesn't mean we're not focused on Hyde Park, Kenwood, as well as Diet. Those are in our footprint as well. But we raised up some of the ones that are in the most dire need. And so tonight, I want you to share with folks where we have come to and what we're talking about doing. Here it is, together.
Thank you, Pastor Harris, for this platform and for allowing us.
Kareem, you went on mute. Unmute yourself. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so this process is when we look at reimagining and working with one another moving forward, reimagining Bronzeville. This particularly speaks to the "and" of the process that Pastor Harris has been working with us for a few months now. So Pastor Harris never stated that the Near South High School process was an "or" to the reimagining process of Bronzeville. It was an "and" to the
That's
process.
right.
We want to really dive into the reimagining process of Bronzeville and the partnership of CPS. Pastor Harris, I think I'm getting feedback from you. Can you go on mute?
Yeah, I was on mute, so that's not me.
Okay. So the "and" process of what we're looking to bring to the investment of reimagining Bronzeville. So we want to speak to what's in common. So we have a shared belief that the Greater Bronzeville CAC mission is to empower the community it serves and to influence the improvement of local education for all schools in Greater Bronzeville. So that's pretty much in common with what CPS mission is. CPS mission is to provide a high quality public education for every child in every neighborhood that prepares each for success in college, career, and civic life. So these are bind together, they're jointed together as a shared belief of what we're looking to do. So moving forward with the investment in Bronzeville School requires all of us to sit at the table, to have a place at the table. And so what we've developed in 2019, CPS partnered with Conic, the City of Chicago, and Bloomberg Philanthropies developed a human-centered design community toolkit. So this is the process of how we engage and reimagine our neighborhood schools with this toolkit moving forward. And this toolkit is how we partner with the community and how the community is a vital part and they have an equal voice. They don't come in after we've presented a plan or developed the plan. They come in at the origin and work with us in developing and reimagining the resources and services for the schools. So we've piloted this toolkit in North Lawndale, where we've gone through a design process rooted in community values. We have utilized this toolkit in our planning for the Near South High School. And the toolkit will be the how we engage with our stakeholders to co-design plans that are rooted in the people's lived experiences. So exactly what's happening in your community, in your neighborhood, the design team will work with the initiative and develop the full plan, not just CPS, not just the community, but us working together hand in hand and developing the plan moving forward. So the CPS Reimagining Community Toolkit, there are 9 modules that represent this toolkit. There's trust and healing, listening, framing, and really focus in on that framing piece, because that's going to be the initiative and the key piece of how we jumpstart this. Ideating, sense making, iterating, prototyping, testing, and delivering. So these 9 modules of the toolkit is what we've developed and focused on as the key areas that we will utilize. under these modules, we have 26 methods. So 26 methods of development that we will work with as a design team. These methods are rooted in human-centered design, and they're modular. They're not linear. So this means that this is not us just checking a box, rushing through this process. We want to make sure that we're building trust with the members of the design team amongst each other, and then we're moving at the speed that the community needs in developing and understanding all areas and focus of the initiative. So we will work to design mini plans, and then it will be a guide of roles and expectations. So within this guide of roles and expectations, everyone will understand the part that they're playing, their contribution to the process, and it won't be led by just the greater Bronzeville CAC, CPS. It will be a collective group of stakeholders, parents, students, and CPS working as a full team. And then we will have a guide that we will present to show how we create these mini plans as well. So this toolkit was built on the principles and recommendations developed by Elevated Chicago. In 2019, CPS adopted the Elevated Chicago principles, engaged in aiming to making sure that we shift the mind state, because many folks have said throughout the years, throughout history, CPS doors have been closed to community engagement. They really don't want to hear community engagement, authentic voice, when really not utilizing your ideas. So we wanted to shift that mind state with our Elevated Chicago principles of engagement. We wanted to make sure that the community felt that our initiatives moving forward are co-designed with community engagement and with the community, enabling two-way communication as we learn together. And we promote cultural competency and empathy. So things that have happened historically through the community, we want to make sure that that has value. Resources and services that have not existed in the community, we want to ensure that that has value at the beginning of the process. So we hear the voices, and as we develop the plan, we're making sure we're putting in substantial resources and services that's going to be long-term. And we want to value the community knowledge and make sure that the proper amount of capital value is brought into moving the process forward. We're looking to seek and embrace multiple point of views, and we're cultivating leadership and advocacy amongst this project, fostering ownership and identity in the community. So we want to make sure that this reimagining plan of Bronzeville, it's the ownership of the design team, the community organizations, and the stakeholders that are at the table, as well as it's signed off on as a collective with CPS. So looking at the community modules, as I mentioned, trust and healing, providing a safe space and creating a foundation for effectiveness, listening, gaining a deeper understanding of people's experience. As we're framing, as I mentioned earlier in the slide, like we're focusing on this framing piece, navigating the complexities of an issue and gaining a shared definition. We want to implement a process known as collective mind mapping. And as we go through this process, we want to look at who is most valuable within Bronzeville, the resources, the community agencies, the partners that exist in Bronzeville that will be most useful to be a part of this design team. So we'll do a full mapping process. And I say we, the Greater Bronzeville CAC will be the lead community organization that will mind map this process with CPS to help develop the design team, as well as a stakeholder analysis. So we'll create an analysis of what currently exists within the Bronzeville community, and we will dissect who will be most useful to be a part of this design team. And then we will explore existing ideas, a sense of making. We will interpret data. So we will look at the data and understand what exists at the high schools now, what's useful, what's needed. We will conduct activities, and then we will create models of illustration in our prototyping. And then we will test what we've developed and put together. We'll gather actionable feedback. So this design team will present the information at community informational meetings as a whole. We'll gain feedback on what we've learned, what we've developed, and we'll make adjustments to the proposal. And then we'll gather support and create an actionable plan that works best from the community purview, CPS's resources, what works best for families and students as a whole. So that's the community toolkit process that we'll implement. It will be inclusive from the beginning of all of these different entities. And we want to make sure that we're implementing the methods, the 26 methods of the marginal that will work best moving forward.
Kareem,
So
you rocking this thing. We're gonna really quickly, another 90 seconds, and then we're gonna take some questions.
Okay. So really quickly, there are about 4 phases that we're going to implement. We're going to conduct assessments. Do we have the right data? We're going to gather and generate and prioritize goals. What does the school community want? We're going to test and redefine the proposal. So we're going to present a draft of assumptions of what we have, and then we're going to let the community give us feedback on it. And then we want to develop a complete plan. We'll develop a timeline of the plan, and then we want to make sure that we give ourselves adequate amount of time. So folks may ask, how long would this take? Well, it will take as long as we need to make sure we have it right. So this is all inclusive with the Greater Bronzeville CAC as our lead community agent, CPS, and we'll do that community mapping and stakeholder analysis to make sure we get the right pieces at the design team, as part of the design team, to build this reimagining Bronzeville process out moving forward. Thank you.
Carl, let me tell you, thank you for what you put in the chat. And Kareem, you rock this thing. Would y'all clap it up and snap it up for Kareem as he unshares? Let me just say a couple of things. So just to be very clear to everyone, the process of the Near South School, and please unshare here, the process of the Near South School. Let me just kind of go through everything that you just heard, right? It is still our expectation that we move forward together. Now, as Kareem clearly articulated, I have never said it needs to be the new school, Near South School, or the 3 schools that we mentioned, which we're talking about all of our schools, Phillips, DuSable, Dunbar. It was an and, right? Because there may be opportunity. So what you're hearing tonight is there is already currently a design team that has been talking about the Near South High School. And now there will be an additional design team that talks about all of the high schools in the Greater Bronzeville area that focus on not just the high school, but all of our schools, but specifically our high schools, right? And those will happen, correct me if I'm wrong, Kareem, at the same time on parallel tracks. Is that not correct?
Right. So that process of the reimagining Bronzeville will happen at the speed of the design team. So there will be a design, there is currently a design team for the new high school. There will be a established design team for reimagining Bronzeville, the current schools that exist within Bronzeville, putting a plan and structure together to make sure that there's an investment and resources provided to that. So they will happen simultaneously, but as far as this piece, they have their design team of the new, there is a design team for the new high school. There will be a development of the design team specifically for the reimagining of Bronzeville, which actually the new high school is a part of Bronzeville, and that's part of the reimagining of Bronzeville as a whole. But this particular piece will focus on a design team, particularly for what Pastor Harris and the Greater Bronzeville has pushed as the and.
And I want to just say, as the chairman of the Greater Bronzeville CAC, first of all, thank you, right, to CPS leadership. Thank you to the mayor, Lori Lightfoot. Thank you to CPS CEO Pedro. Thank you to Dr. Cook and to all of you all who have been on, and those of you all who are also at the Phase 2 department or FACE department. Let me just say, we are also folks who suffer from CPS lack of integrity, PTSD, right? So this is a whole trust then verify, right? Which means we got to make sure that these things are happening. Now I'm asking everybody to look at the chat, and I'm asking all of you all, let's go beyond just being a attendee of these great meetings, which are important. And I can't thank you enough because you don't have to volunteer your time, but I'm asking you to join the GBCAC, and you can do that with the information. If you can email GBCAC at brightstarcommunityoutreach.com to say, hey, I want to join. You will be not only a member, and out of those members, we will have voting members. And out of those members, we will have subcommittees that work on various things and also volunteers. Listen, there is a lot of work to be done. And when it comes to this design team that will focus on all of the schools in partnership with CPS, as it relates to the high schools, especially the ones that are suffering, we need your help. We need your help. Now, please don't go to any other place to say that I want to be a member, except emailing GBCAC at brightstarcommunityoutreach.com. We're not going to be checking the Facebook page. We're not going to be checking you can do that on the website. There is a link that is there, but it'll be much harder if we go to all of these different places. But we have Facebook pages, we have Instagram, we have all of that, but we're asking you to email GBCAC at brightstarcommunityoutreach.com. Please do that. Or you can go to the GBCAC website, and it allows you at the very top to put in your information and your email address. We need you to join. Now, listen, we will be holding CPS accountable to say you shouldn't spend one dime on the proposed Near South School until we know the exact dimes that you'll be putting in our schools that are already there, that already exist, and are already suffering. That's how this will work for us. And listen to me good. We're going to hold them accountable. It's not just Chris Harris. It's all of you. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to CPS for listening. Thank you to CPS for considering everything that we have shared. I don't know if she's still on, but our senator, who has been a part of the CAC, and she shows up when we call her. I know she always has a lot of other stuff going on. I'm trying to scroll back through. She was on earlier, Senator Maddie Hunter. Just want to give her a moment if she's still on. Alderman Dow says she could not attend. We have an outgoing alderman of the 4th Ward. There's our senator. Hey, Senator, how you?
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
We are good. You are always multitasking, but you always make time for the Greater Bronzeville CAC. I want to hear your thoughts on what we've heard tonight and any other things that you want to share.
Well, I'm sorry, but I cannot comment on anything because I'm still on another Zoom. So I'm sorry.
No, you ain't got to be sorry. You are here. But CPS has shared that there will be a redesign team specifically on the current Greater Bronzeville high schools. And they also agree with us that it is fair, that it not be an or, but an and. Last month, you stood up and you wasn't playing. You said you was willing to fight any funding that has been allocated. I feel pretty comfortable, Senator, that they are being fair in their thinking, but we're going to trust then verify.
Well, I met with CPS actually a couple of times with their governmental relations people in Springfield, and they assured me that no schools are going to close in Bronzeville. And I've always had a working relationship with them. So I can only take their word for it, and continue to work with them.
But thank you so much for
Hi,
your
Carl, and my Mr. Pender guy.
Thank
My
you for
good
your
friend.
partnership.
Yeah.
We are grateful. I feel comfortable. GBCAC, I feel really, really comfortable with the direction that we're going. Get back to that other Zoom, Senator. Thanks for always joining us.
Okay.
We appreciate
Thanks,
you having our
guys.
back. Thank you. So listen, I'm excited. Kareem, great job. Dr. Fatima Cook, thank you. Great job. All the other leaders, thank you so much, very much, Adrian. All of you all, we are super duper grateful. GBCAC, make sure, email. We got a lot of the questions that are in the chat. Will you please make sure you email your questions to GBCAC. Again, GBCAC at brightstarcommunityoutreach.com. And we are going to get all of the questions that you email us. All of the questions that you email us. We will get the answers. We will post it on our website. To all of you all who couldn't attend tonight, I want to tell you thank you because you're watching this video on our GBCAC website, gbcac.com. and any questions you have, we want you to do the same thing. I am super duper grateful for all of you all that are attending, especially our educators. Keep up the great work. We are excited. Again, the tablets that I'll be passing out free, you'll be hearing about that from the schools for every student that is Title I eligible. And there's other criteria. We also got tablets for some adults. Stay tuned. We're excited, but we're putting the students first. I can't thank you all enough. EC, we couldn't do this work without your leadership. So could y'all snap it up and clap it up for all of our executive committee members? CPS, we couldn't do this work without partnering with you all. So please clap it up and snap it up for our CPS leadership. And then all of our educators, all of our volunteers, all of our GBCAC members, and every community-based or faith-based, school-based organization. Thank you for being so awesome. I'm excited. On next month, hold on, don't y'all log off. Next month, our meeting next month. Please lock it down on your calendar. Will be April 17th, Monday, April 17th. Y'all know we start at 6 o'clock and we end at, you all, 8 o'clock. Have a good night. Appreciate y'all. Y'all are amazing. Keep up the great work. See you next month.